Hi, I'm Tyler Wrench, and I'm up next on Quad Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the voice of the ATV Racing Nation, quadradio.net. I'm Rodney Tomlin, and this is another edition of Quad Radio Prodigies as we roll into the new season of amateur racing anyway. On the side of ATV Motocross, we'll be rolling into Texas for round one for the amateurs, round two for the pros at Underground Motocross Park here in just a matter of only a few days. I want to take this opportunity to say thanks to some sponsors that have helped make things possible, which of course include our good friends at DP Brakes. They always ask the question, what's stopping you? And remember, they are number one in centered braking technology. Also want to say thanks to our good friends at Root River Racing, reminding you that, of course, they support racing on the local, national, and regional levels. And speaking of regional and local levels, our good friends at D6 have a race coming up, which they're involved in. Of course, April 13th and 14th, that'll be round two of the D6 Ultimate Quad Series for 2019. That'll be taking place at Sleepy Hollow in Fredericksburg, Pennsylvania. And we also once again want to say thanks to 88 Live to Ride, racing toward rider safety, and of course Jansen Motorsports and our good friends up in Kokona, Wisconsin, taking great care of a lot of folks from the minis right on up to the big boys. And they've even got Cody Jansen, I understand, back in the AMA Pro ATV class, I think for some limited shots, if not the entire season for 2019. So just want to say thanks to them, and thanks for your continued support as well. And also want to take this opportunity to welcome this young man right here. We're talking about none other than Tyler Wrench from the ATV Motocross National Championship Series. And Tyler is a name that I'm going to tell you, I've watched you grow up, Tyler, but I really haven't had a chance to get super acquainted with you. So I imagine that I'm probably not the only one out in the ATV racing nation. I want to get to know you a little bit, where you're from, what makes you tick, and what your plans are this year. So we'll start out. And first and foremost, Tyler, where are you from, man? I gather you're from Indiana, if I am gathering correctly, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And tell you about it. I've lived there most of my life, and the Hudsons gave me a shot this year to come work for them and ride for them. So I uprooted and moved down here away from my family, and hope it works out for me.
No doubt, man. That's a big move. How old are you, real quick?
I'm 21.
So you're at the age that that all work out for you. You need to be stepping out and moving out, so it's a good experience for you.
Yes, sir.
So tell me a little bit about your racing and in your riding, I guess I should say, how you got involved in ATV motocross to begin with. Indiana is I'm not taking anything away from the great state of Indiana. They are a heck of a racing state, but most of the boys out there, you Hoosiers like the woods, man, and you guys go fast in the woods too. There's few of you guys. I think Brogan Geyer is another rider that's from up around that area. We do a GNCC like in his backyard up in Peru. But, yeah, there's not a lot of motocrossers, ATV style, doesn't appear out of Indiana. So how did you get involved in ATV motocross in Indiana?
I started racing when I was really young, and my first race was at a fair. And from there, we started doing more locals and stuff like that. And in 2007, I ran my first national on a 90, and I was pretty much on a stock 90 and didn't know what I was getting into and got whooped up on pretty bad, but it made me want more of it. So eventually I kept racing 90s locally and stuff, and we were going to get a 250, but my dad was like, there's no point in you getting a 250 for only a year or two to put all the money into it, so we'll just wait till you're on 450s and we'll give her a shot. So in 2014, we ran then a full national series in C class, and I ended up doing okay. I got, I think, third and fourth overall in points, and I wasn't real happy with it, but I had to move up to B the next year. And the next year in B was 2015, and that was a rough year for me. There's that was a pretty stacked class that year, and I ended up pushing myself pretty hard, a lot of motos, and made a lot of mistakes and whatnot. And I think I ended up 10th and 11th in B that year, and just didn't end up being a good year for me. And that ended up being my last full year since till now. So I'm ready to come back and see what I can do in A.
Wow. So that's kind of a limited, but I mean, there was a lot of progression there, it seems like, Tyler. So let's back up a little bit. You said you started when you were very young. I'm assuming you started on four wheels then?
Yes, sir.
So where did you get that first bike at? How did you even become acquainted with an ATV to begin with? I assume being in Indiana, there's probably a pretty doggone good chance that you live out on a farm or near a farm someplace.
We lived out in the country, kind of in like a small neighborhood, and my neighbor, he had a little 90, and we always grew up playing together since he lived next door. And so I ended up always going over there and riding his little quad around. And my dad saw how much I liked it, and we ended up getting one. And from that day forward, me and my neighbor would be outside in the backyard every single day riding, and we'd ride in circles all day long until we ran out of gas.
Those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah.
I can remember. I can remember racing Carlsbad when I was on an 80 at about 10 years old or something like that, 11 years old, I think. In my mind, anyway, I'd watched it on Wide World of Sports. So I was racing, and in my mind, I'd laid out, so I can imagine the championships that you won rolling in circles those days, man.
Yeah. Then eventually he started racing. So I started racing, and then from that day forward, we always started racing together. Unfortunately, he didn't have the opportunity to keep racing anymore, but he's a pretty successful baseball player. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good. He took a little different route, but that's awesome, man. I don't know. You took me back there for a second when you said you guys would roll around in the backyard for circles. It made me think right out here outside my studio window is a field and about 14 acres of it that I used to just roll through. So you took me back there for a minute, man. Thanks for the memory. And like I say, you probably got a lot of those. So you guys, so you got a four-wheeler. When do you get exposed to racing? Obviously, the local county fair, I guess, has a fair race. They got motocross. They say they're racing motorcycles and four-wheelers. And you say, Daddy, I want to go race my four-wheeler at the fair. Is that about how it went down?
That's about how it went down.
Do you remember how old you were when that happened?
I believe I was 5 or 6 my first race.
So you got hooked. Your mom and dad got hooked. They got a schedule of the local races. Then you guys started going out. What was ATV racing, the youth scene, like for you in Indiana growing up? Was it a pretty strong scene? Did you cross paths with Brogan or any of the other talent that we know on the national scene from Indiana?
Yeah, I grew up racing Brogan sometimes at locals, and Blake Sarver. He doesn't run our series anymore, but I grew up racing him a lot. And Haley Davis, I don't know if you know that name. She's from Indiana, and I grew up racing her. She was pretty fast when we were on 90s, so there's a lot of competition up there.
I think
my mini.
Yeah, there was. You're absolutely right, and I do recognize the name Haley Davis. But I think that's interesting. And man, times have changed, and the world has changed. And I know I keep bringing this up, but I just want to point that out, how that's great that when you talk about competition, you mention a female's name. That gives me a lot of hope for the sport, that maybe someday we might get to see one really super excel. Heck, we might even have one in the process of doing that right now. You never know. Neve Shaw, man. I mean, that girl's just phenomenal. Natalie Jackson, she's crazy fast too. So who knows what these girls growing up are going to be able to achieve. And there might already be one ready to step in at this particular point. I don't know. But that's neat that you say that you raced, you competitively raced against some girls and stuff. And that helped make you better. Now, as you got, on the local scene, where was your first, where did you say your first ATV National was?
My first one was at Lorettas in 07.
'07. Now, how did you get to Lorettas? Was that just the talk of the track? You know, you need to go to Lorettas, and obviously that was the heyday of ATV motocross. I mean, that was when the factories were all in there and things were huge. We were getting 1,000+ entries in a weekend and stuff. I mean, it was nuts. Yeah, what was it like for you?
I got hooked up with a local shop that did a lot of work on mini quads and whatnot, and their name was Wolfpack Racing back in the day. They actually started the amateur giveaway there at Loretta's the year we went, and
Right.
we got hooked up with them, and they asked me and my dad if we wanted to go down and race the Loretta's National, and we said sure, and we went down there with our can of gas and one spare air filter, and that's what we brought to run. It was way different than racing competitively on a 450 like it is now.
Well, yeah, things were simple, man, and it was fun then. But you learned a lot, and that when you finally did reach the 450 status, let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, there was a couple of years there where you weren't getting a race, I guess, unless you were still racing that 90 and just beating the wheels off of it, or,
No,
or unless or unless you went ahead and bought a 450 and started riding it until you turned 16.
I had a 450 before I turned 16, and then once I turned 16, we started going to some of the nationals. And in between my years that I didn't run full series, I still was at a couple nationals here and there. So I still got my practice in for the year and stayed fresh with gate drops and whatnot. So
kept the bike skill under you and everything. Ever ride two wheels?
once in a while, I've been riding two wheels down here quite a bit on a Ty's dirt bike, and I like it. I think it's a lot different. I see how quads and dirt bikes have feuds now with ruts and whatnot, but you know, it's definitely a different on its own to learn. You know.
It is. And, you know, if you ride both, then you realize that, like me being a fan of both and knowing how both work, I think each has their place. I think, unfortunately, because the ATV numbers are down, they've got to piggyback a lot of two-wheel races and stuff. But, yeah, they mess up a good motorcycle track, an ATV will. A motorcycle will mess up a good ATV track. So, you know, so vice versa. So that's why they need to be kept in separate realms. But each are equally as exciting and challenging and so forth and so on. But anyway, I was just curious. I didn't know how deep things went. So you told us that you raced the B class. Did you say you finished top 10 for the year? Is that what I understood you say, Ty?
Yeah, I finished 10th, and I can't remember which class, either 450 or production B, but I finished, I think, right behind Drake Coling, which he ended up going pro last year. So
Right. So I mean, and that's what a lot of people, you know, you look at the big scheme of things. So many people focus on, I got to win the championship. I got to win the championship. I got to win the championship. But you know, they don't realize that, you know, even being anywhere in that top 10 is a pretty impressive feat. Sometimes, you know, I guess those people that feel like that, you know, shoot themselves in the foot and end up back there. They don't really have the talent they think they have, and they end up back there. But somebody like yourself that comes in fresh and realizing that, hey, I'm behind the 8 ball here. These guys have got a lot more experience on me, and you bit the bullet, dude, and you made it happen, and that's good. I mean, I think that's impressive, and I'd say that's probably kind of what Ty was seeing in you, the fact that, you know, you're not one of those prima donnas that expects to win all the time, but you are one of those riders that is constantly improving, I think.
mm-hmm. I think that year in B class, I wasn't quite matured enough yet to. I feel like I matured a lot since then, and I can definitely do better in A class than I did then. I feel like I didn't put the work in I could have off the track and the gym and whatnot, and I feel like I have a better bike under me now. Like back then, me and my dad didn't really know much about suspension setup or tuning or anything like that. So when we got on some of them rougher tracks, it really was challenging for me. I had to fight a lot to keep the bike under me, but now I have Nick Hickey behind me helping me get shock styled and whatnot, and that's been a big help. I didn't even know what it was like to ride a bike that was dialed in like that. So I can already feel myself gaining a lot of speed on the track, and
That, that
hope to see what I can do with it.
That's great. That's great to know. And you know the fact 16 to 20 or 21 years old, you've gained a lot more strength, core strength. So you're stronger. You're more experienced. You're actually probably a little wiser in a lot of ways. You've picked up on a lot more things. Like you say, you've got the tools and the right people, you know, that know how to make those tools work for you. So you're in a pretty good position, it sounds like, Tyler, and I'm pretty stoked for you. Now, I want to know what the future holds for you, but I wanted you to sit right there, and we'll find out. We're going to take a quick break here on Quad Radio Prodigies, and when we come back, we'll find out, well, what exactly are the plans for Tyler Wrench for 2019 and maybe even beyond. Stick around. Quad Radio continues right after this.
Hi, I'm Walker Fowler, and this is a DP brake rotor. And these are DP brake pads. Larry Mills and DP Brakes have been a part of my program for over a decade. Recently, we completed the Heartland Challenge, a 10-hour ATV endurance race that is not only physically demanding, but demanding on my machine and my parts. And that is why we choose DP brake pads. At the end of the race, we had 0 brake failures, and they looked brand new. If you aren't using DP brakes, what's stopping you? Literally.
Quad Radio is made possible in part by Root River Racing, supporters of amateur and professional racing on the local, regional, and national levels. And Root River Racing invites you to follow their Facebook page and the D6 Ultimate Quad Series Facebook page, where you can keep up to date with one of the nation's premier local championships.
Hi, this is Joel Jansen from Jansen Motorsports. We've been building quads for over 25 years, and now we have stepped up our engine program to a whole new level with 5-axis CNC heads available. Please contact us for details at 920-766-3411. Thank you very much.
And welcome back to the voice of the ATV Racing Nation, quadradio.net. I'm Rodney Tomlin, and this is Quad Radio Prodigies, presented to you by DP Brakes. What's stopping you? And, of course, our guest over here is Mr. Tyler Wrench, a on and off again type national ATV racer. He's got a few full seasons under his belt. Got a top 10 in the B class, a top 3 or 4 in the C classes, and is now getting ready after a couple of years off, getting ready to tackle the A class and the college class in particular, I think one of those. And with that, you know, he comes this time, as we found out, with a few better tools than what he's had in the past, a lot more knowledge, and a lot of focus. And Tyler, it's a whole different situation for you now, I imagine. Here we are. You know, it's always been for fun, and I'm not saying it's not for fun for you now, but it is a little more serious because you've got people that are saying, here, man, ride my quad, but you know they expect you to get some results because, you know, they need exposure for the sponsors, so the sponsors will keep supporting you guys and yada, yada, yada. But hey, man, a lot of pressure, and looks like you're up and ready for the game, man.
Yeah, I'm ready to roll. I'm more nervous for myself. Just I don't want to I don't want to leave myself short comment for you. You know what I'm saying? Like how do I explain this?
You don't want to leave anything on the table. You want to put it all out there on the track, I guess is what you're trying to say, right?
That's exactly what I meant. Yeah, I feel like I did that back in B class, so I don't want to have that feeling again.
Well, you got to take into consideration, like you said, I mean, it was you and your dad's program. You guys didn't have a whole lot of knowledge of suspension and setups and things like that. Now that you have someone working with you that has that knowledge and you've got what you need, the right tools, you know, things will probably go a little bit easier for you. I mean, you'll probably be surprised, but at the same time, you're also racing against some guys again. Still, again, we got to take into consideration the experience factor there, what these boys have over what you have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've been riding day in, day out for the last couple of years where, you know, I've had some breaks in there.
Yeah, and many of them maybe since they were on the 90s, or 70s even, they haven't missed a lick all the way up through.
I feel like having the extra lap and A in college too with 5 laps will play a big part in my results this year, because sometimes when you don't get a good start in like C and B, when you have 4 laps, it's real hard to make passes real quick and get around people. So that extra lap, even though it's only one extra lap, it's a lot.
It does. It means a lot. It can gain you a lot. A lot of things can happen. Like I always say, a lot of things can happen in 10 seconds, 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 days, 10 weeks. Just small increments of time. A lot of things can happen. And like you say, that one lap, a number of things can happen. You can go from fifth to first, depending on the circumstances and the situations. So with that, obviously you're training for that particular amount of time on the racetrack. Well, you have to, I guess, if you want to be competitive, huh?
Yeah, I've been doing longer motos and I've been used to, and I'm really starting to settle into the longer pace motos. And on the new bike, I've been on a Honda my whole life up until now, and I feel like the Yamaha really fits me better, and I can corner it a lot better than I could my Honda.
Wow. So it seems like everybody on the team, Ty Hudson has switched everybody over to the Yamahas, and that's pretty cool. Hopefully that means that you guys will be able to get some contingencies and help support the team and stuff like that with some good rides and things of that nature. Pretty good thinking on their part, I think, as well. So tell me, how did this all come to pass? I mean, we've gotten to the story where, we've got the story of how you raced, when you got to the Nationals, what you did at the Nationals, when you left, when you came back, why you're back, or how you basically got back here at 21 years old. Ty Hudson says, hey, man, come on out to my place. I got quad for you. But, there has to be a deeper story to it than that. Ty Hudson from Oklahoma don't just call Ty Wrench in Indiana and say, hey, buddy, I got an extra quad. Come ride it.
No, I met them through Jacob last year, and we me and Ty really clicked, and I became good friends with the Hudsons. And I've had a passion for welding always growing up and whatnot, and they have a pipeline business, so I ended up coming down here and working for them and getting the chance to ride. So I couldn't thank them enough for this opportunity. It's really changed my life.
Hey, man, let the Hudsons know that I ain't opposed to moving to Oklahoma. I ain't going to ride an ATV, but hey, I might be able to sit in an office and push a pencil or go out and I can weld, not as good as those boys on the pipeline, but anyway, aside from all that, man, it sounds like a pretty good opportunity for you. They've not only given you an opportunity to ride, but they've given you something to fall back on. They've given you a great foundation, man. Here's basically some complete strangers that says, here you go, buddy, make the best out of it. We're giving you every opportunity in the world, and it's all on your shoulders at this point. You realize that, right?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't know if you was going to say something else. I was just thinking along the lines, that is a pretty good opportunity. And most people, whenever you get into a situation like that, they bring people in and, it's perform or get out. They may want you to perform, but they're going to say perform. Well, you're not performing. Well, get out in the oil field and, do whatever it is that you do out there. I don't know what it is they have you do, but weld that line, wash that truck, whatever it is. That's great, man. How did you, have you stopped and thought, man, how great an opportunity you've got going on right now?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. I couldn't be more blessed, and I'm just excited to get the year rolling with racing and whatnot, and get everything going.
What did mom and dad say when you told them, I'm moving to Oklahoma and I'm going to race four-wheelers?
I think my mom was I'm an only child, so my mom was pretty upset about it. But she pushed me. She said, you need to go and take the opportunity.
Good. That's great that she recognized that. I know it's hard to let go, man, as a parent for sure. Well, let's look ahead to the season. College A class, you told me. Did you say 450 A class as well?
Yes.
So, man, I mean, everything changes so much. I haven't even looked at the rosters or anything, or even thought about these A classes. But I know there's some pretty slick talent that should be moving up and into that class, and there has been some pretty slick talent already there. Who's the competition that you're going to be racing against this year?
I'm not really sure who I'm going to be up against. I know there's definitely going to be some fast guys. I haven't really looked at the B class results for last year or anything to see who would be bumping up, but I know there's definitely going to be a lot of fast guys, and either way, I'm going to have to give it the top of my game.
So, I mean, you're approaching this. It doesn't matter who's in the class. My objective, my goal is to beat them, and if not beat them, come as close to them and try to beat them eventually, right?
Yeah, I plan on riding my own race every single moto, and just putting my best foot forward every moto, giving my chance the best opportunity with every start, every lap, and just really breaking down every single weekend and getting the most out of every weekend, because I'm trying to go for at least the top 3 in the championship. So, and just because you're winning races doesn't mean you can't win championships. So I'm just going to try to be consistent.
Right. That's a perfect example right there. We've seen it happen time and time again, and consistency pays huge dividends, and that's what it's going to take. As we look ahead at the season, we know that you're hoping to achieve and gain top 3 positions. What are you looking forward to most, though, out of 2019 as we approach and get ready to roll into Texas? What do you hope, I guess on a personal level, hope to achieve and gain out of the 2019 season?
I hope to just stay healthy and hopefully not have any crashes like I did in B class. And I hope to just learn a lot and get faster on the bike, because I don't know what next year or the year after looks like. So I'm just going to try to put my best foot forward and see what I can do.
So this is, you're kind of approaching this as it could be a one and done thing. You know, you're just going to go out and make the best of what you can make out of it.
Yeah, that's my plan, because, you know, with financially and life-wise in general, you don't know what next year is going to look like or what the series is going to look like. So I'm just going to focus on this year and take it one weekend at a time.
Well, that's a good way to do it. Do you have any other interest other than ATV racing?
Yeah, I'd like to open my own fab shop one day, but it takes a lot of money. So I either got to pick racing or that. So I figured out when the best time to make the switches.
Right. So when you say fab shop, obviously a fabber, what kind of stuff are we going to be fabbing?
Anything and everything. There's a lot of contract work up by me in Indiana.
Okay.
I know a lot of people.
I see. So it's not necessarily race industry related. You just want to go into fabrication in general. That's why. Hey, you know what? That's a good idea, good plan. Sounds like you got your ducks in a row, man. And sounds like you're also about to have the time of your life here in 2019 and make some pretty great memories. I imagine you've already made great memories. How long have you been in Indiana, or how long have you been in Oklahoma? How long has it been since you left Indiana?
I got here late October, I think. Yeah, late October I got here. So I've been here quite a while, working and training and whatnot.
Wow.
But I never really had the opportunity to ride in an off season, really. Like my B class year, I rode like 2 weeks for like a week straight before round 1, and that was it. So I never really got any riding in before round 1. So just having the opportunity to moto day in and day out and be able to ride with guys like Jacob and Troy and Ty and pace myself off of them has just been a big game changer for me. So.
Oh, I could only imagine, man. Sounds like you fell in the right place. You got some fast boys to ride with, and from what I can gather, you guys are having a great time too, taking it serious, but also keeping the fun in it. And oftentimes, man, people get too serious about stuff, but it seems like you guys got a good balance, and I hope that y'all are able to keep that. I really do.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's probably about all I need to gather until we see a little bit more from you here in in Texas. So I'm looking forward to that. Did they have pre-registration? Have you pre-registered or anything yet, or you guys just do that when you get to the racetrack?
I'm probably just going to wait till I get there, because sometimes the pre-register line is just as long as the normal line. So.
That's funny how that all works out. But I will tell you, the pre-registration should go faster. I don't know if it does at all places, but anyway, if it's working right, it does. All right. Any shout outs, anything you want to say to anybody before we let you go?
I just want to say a big thanks to the Hudsons for giving me this opportunity. It wouldn't be possible without them, and Jacob and Troy and Ty for always having my back and helping me out on and off the track. It's a real big help. Appreciate all of them. Anything that you want to say to Mom and Dad that helped guide you down the path that got you here? Yeah, I also should thank my mom and dad. I wouldn't be here without them. Their support over the years has been everything. I definitely would not be here without them. That's a truer statement than you realize, man. Wouldn't be here without my parents either. I know what you're saying. I'm being goofy, man. It's one of those days. Tyler, real good to get to know you, and look forward to getting to know you better and watching your race here in the 450A and the College A class. So with that, that's Tyler Wrench. I'm Rodney Tomlin. This is Quad Radio Prodigies.